الله بالخير. لسنوات ساد إجماع دفاعي واحد: أقمار ستارلينك غير قابلة للتشويش، سريعة منتشرة تغير تردداتها باستمرار، العمود الفقري للأقمار الاصطناعية في أمريكا، وخطة الطوارئ لكل ثورة ملونة برعاية أمريكية إسرائيلية. إيران حطمت هذه الأسطورة خلال 80 دقيقة عبر استخدام تقنيات صينية روسية. عطلت طهران 40,000 محطة ستارلينك، وحولت سلاح الاستخبارات الأمريكية لمثيري الشغب إلى خردة باهظة الثمن. لم يكن ذلك مجرد إفشال للاستخبارات الغربية، كان أيضا رسالة صينية موجهة إلى تايوان. بينما كانت وسائل الإعلام الغربية تصرخ ابتهاجا بانهيار الحكم في إيران، نقل محلل إسرائيلي مخضرم الواقع كما هو: هناك 60 مركز احتجاج فقط بعد أن كانت 300. لا تصدعات في النظام، لا في الجيش ولا في الحرس الثوري. وبحلول 12 من كانون 2 يناير خمدت الاحتجاجات وامتلأت المدن بمسيرات مؤيدة للحكومة وللقائد. وبعد، الاستخبارات التركية ساعدت إيران على ملاحقة إرهابيين انفصاليين كرد مدعومين أمريكيا. الصين أعلنت أنها لن تقف مكتوفة اليدين إذا انتهكت سيادة إيران. لماذا؟ واشنطن نشرت مدمرات وطهران أغلقت الفجوات الجوية. ماذا يعني ذلك؟ أهو توازن رعب؟ مراكز أبحاث أوروبية تحث على تطبيق النموذج الفنزويلي وإزاحة قائد الثورة والبلاد السيد علي خامنئي وتطويع الحكومة. لكن أليس تغيير الأنظمة من خلال الضغط والبلطجة وانتهاك القانون الدولي والسيادة يعزز الحكومات التي يحاولون إسقاطها؟ نرحب بكم ونرى ونسمع أكثر مع الأستاذ سام تورابي، الخبير الإيراني بالعلاقات الدولية ومدير معهد رسالة للدراسات الاستراتيجية في البعد الأقرب. هذه الميادين، وأنا زينب صفار، خليكم ويانا. Salam and welcome to Al Mayadeen. This is Zainab Al Safa for the Proximate Aspect, and my dear guest is Dr. Sam Torabi, Iranian international relations expert and director of the Risalat Strategic Studies Institute in Qom, Iran. Dr. Torabi, absolutely fascinating to have you. How are you doing?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's my honor and pleasure to be on your program.
Wa alaikum assalam. Now, wars are no longer, Dr. Sam, fought with weapons alone. Today we have algorithms, they have joined in, and fake accounts. In Iran today, protest, war and digital manipulation collide. What appears as public anger may be part of a larger strategy. What divergences exist in the 2026 protest movement today from its predecessor waves back in 2019 and 2022 in motives and in shape? What is different this time, and how do you define it, please?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. There are things that are different and there are things that never change. So I want to first start with the things that never change. Because we see that since the beginning of the revolution, since day one of the revolution, there's always been attempts to overthrow the Islamic Republic, to cause chaos, whether it was the war, the 8-year war, whether it was all the different things that we've seen. We can go on and on about all the things they've been doing 46, 7 years now. But the thing that is constant is that this state, this revolution, this Islamic Republic, is from the people and by the people. And this is something that they never understood, and they have a very hard time understanding, because they don't have that in their world. You are either in a country like in the West, where you have the oligarchs, where you have the wealthy Jewish supremacists who rule everything, or you have countries in our region which are led by tribal or by military dictatorships, and the people are not even a factor that is taken into consideration. But the thing that is important to understand about Iran in this context is that the revolution that happened and the state that was created after the revolution, the Islamic Republic, was in first place a social revolution. So it wasn't just a political revolution in terms of one group of rulers changing and another group coming and nothing else changing. It was a fundamental social revolution that happened in Iran. This is why you see whenever these actions are taken, whether it's, in the old days with, the old methods, whether it was with satellites, whether it's with algorithms and social media, the result is always a complete failure because they never understand that the Islamic Republic of Iran is based in the people. And as long as this is the case...
So it's not against the people.
And it seems to be the case. Who do you mean is not against the people? Which
the government today?
Absolutely not. I mean, it's ridiculous to even think this. Unfortunately, this is what a lot of people in the West, and unfortunately even some people in our region, fail to grasp after 46 years.
Regional analysts describe a coordinated and externally managed campaign of unrest, with the US, as you said, and Israel directing and sustaining the riots taking place. Now, despite intense propaganda, the Iranian state has maintained internal stability. Have the CI/Mossad-led operations to spark a so-called color revolution in Iran failed?
Well, they have failed, and that's the whole point that I'm trying to convey to your dear viewers, which is that this whole false dichotomy between state and the people, which exists in many countries, because in many countries, the state, the people who are ruling have nothing to do with the people. So if you look at the United States, it doesn't matter who's president, whether it's Trump, Obama, Biden, Bush, it doesn't matter what the people want. What Israel wants happens in the United States, no matter who is the president, no matter who is in Congress, no matter who is the senator. So it's a facade of democracy. It's not real democracy. Or in a lot of the countries in our region, you have rulers whose rule is not in any way connected to the people that they rule. They are there by the grace of America, or by the grace of Britain, or by the grace of Israel, and they have nothing to do with the people in their country. This is not the case in Iran. So it's not simply that the state is able to survive. The state is rooted in the people, and the people maintain their country. They do not consider the state to be alien to their own national identity. It is an outgrowth of Iranian history, of Iranian culture, of Iranian society, which, when the revolution happened, was a response to the imposed, forcefully westernized, forcefully secularized Pahlavi regime, which was a complete puppet of the United States. Now, some countries who are recently been created by Britain or France, the people might not even have that feeling that they are slaves or that they are being controlled by the outside, because that's the way it's always been. But for Iranians, this was an extreme humiliation to have the king of your country being managed by Israel or by America. This is something that a civilizational state like Iran, a society which is 5,000 years old, has a very hard time to digest. So as a response, as a response to this, given the Islamic component, which is a fundamental element of Iranian identity
today,
after the coming of Islam, so this becomes the thing that allows people to establish a state of their own that is not being controlled by foreigners.
Sure, but allow me here to point
Sure.
out that Tehran utilized synchronized ground jammers using advanced Chinese technology and Russian hardware to blind approximately 40,000 Starlink terminals to shut down Starlink access, consequently breaking the myth of unblockable satellite internet. Why it matters and what's the proximate aspect here?
Again, I hadn't heard this before. Thank you for informing me about this. I'm very happy to hear this if this is the case. And I would just simply add that, every time there's some sort of, event happening, we suddenly see Iran doing things technologically that everybody is surprised. And they shouldn't be surprised. When you look at the 12-day war and all the things that were being said, again, obviously you're going to have those people in the West saying the things they always say. They will never give credit to Iran. They will never think that Iran is capable of doing anything. But it always ends up being the one that does all the things that are said that it can't do. So in the 12-day war, they thought that they could, hit the leadership of the military and that somehow something would happen. Again, not knowing that the revolution, the Islamic Republic of Iran, is not a dictatorship. This is the fundamental mistake that the Americans, the Israelis, and all those who are outside of Iran, who don't like the Islamic Republic, this is the fundamental mistake they make. Iran is not a dictatorship. Iran is not a dictatorship of the mullahs and the IRGC. It is an Islamic Republic. The people who are elected, whether it's in the village, whether it's in the town, whether it's in the city, whether it's in the national parliament, whether it's a minister, whether it's we're going to recently have, again, elections for the Assembly of Experts, which is the assembly that is elected directly by the people in all the provinces that appoints the supreme leader. So Iran is not a dictatorship, but all their plans for overthrowing the Islamic Republic is based on the false premise that Iran is a dictatorship. So of course it's going to fail all the time. Those people who tell Trump or Netanyahu about Iran, they have a vested interest in saying that Iran is a dictatorship. They do not. It does not benefit them to tell Trump and Netanyahu what the reality of Iran is.
Sure.
Because in the context of the money that is spent from the American taxpayers to pay for Israel, to pay for Ukraine, for every little project that everybody in the world has, that the American taxpayers have to pay for it, they want to get a piece of that money, whether it's the people, the exiled Iranians who haven't been in Iran for 50 years. I just want to remind you and your viewers, remember what happened with Ahmad Chalabi.
Sure.
He came to the Americans, he said, oh, you will be greeted with sweets. People will, kiss flowers. People will kiss your feet, right? So it was in the interest of those groups in Iraq who wanted to overthrow Saddam Hussein to say these things, to get the Americans to do the things they wanted to do. Now, this is why if you look at the message from Ayatollah Khamenei, what was in the message of Ayatollah Khamenei? He says, don't listen to those traitor mercenaries who are giving you advice about Iran. They don't understand Iran.
Sure.
This is why you see, despite everything, Iran is a very sophisticated state. The diplomatic system in Iran always leaving the space open for discussion.
Yes, for
because
dialogue and discussion.
This is what a sophisticated state does.
Sure.
Yes, this is not weakness. This is not weakness. This is a sign of strength. Okay, so you have the parts that are related to security doing their job and doing a great job. And by the way, why is it that the enemies of Iran were not able to get to what they wanted to? Their plan was that they were going to do Daesh-like violence, and that Iran is somehow like Libya, somehow like Syria, that everybody's going to start killing everybody. That's not what Iran did. Iran this time. I'm talking about the security organizations in Iran. They first allow these people to be killed, and this is because they believe, they are believers. They are not there as police or as military because it gives them some advantage in terms of getting money. In fact, they don't get paid a lot. Okay,
Sure.
this is the difference between being the police or the army of Gaddafi or being the police or army of Bashar al-Assad,
Yes.
right? So every time this happens, those people are sacrificing themselves, like the young people did during the war, like the young people did in the 12-day war, because this is part of our identity. We don't let the enemy take advantage
Allow me
of
to
the
ask you
situation.
here, experts
Sure.
say that most economic issues in Iran are mainly caused by government mismanagement and perhaps exacerbated by sanctions. Is Iran's economic collapse
Sure.
the cost of defiance or the fruit of corruption? I mean, a nation squeezed between sovereignty
I will explain it to you
and
exactly. Yes.
and
I will
survival.
explain it to you exactly.
Is this the price of anti-imperialism or the harvest of internal rot? Briefly, if I may.
Okay, I will explain it to you exactly. The majority of the problems in terms of economics are related to having policies that were necessary at some point in the history after the war and are no longer necessary, but those people who benefited from those policies are still have enough power to maintain those policies, but this is also changing now. So we had a situation where the idea was that you would give subsidies in the chain. You give it to the producer, that producer produces the things that are necessary, and then the people are able to buy the products cheaper. This led to a system of corruption. Why? Because that person would take the exchange, the money, the exchange rate that was lower than the bazaar, than the market exchange rate, and instead of buying the products to then create the cheaper products, they would sell the dollars in the open market. Okay, so this created a problem always in Iran. Now, what this government has done, and I'm a critic of this government, but they have done what they are starting to do is a very good thing, which is something that the Ahmadinejad government also attempted to do, and the Shahid Raisi government also, administration also attempted to do, which is to take that subsidy and instead of giving it to the producer, you give it to the consumer. So you take that possibility for corruption away, which is they take the money and instead of producing or making or importing the product that they can then sell cheaper, this no longer is a possibility. Of course, there's going to be resistance to that by the people who are used to getting this cheap money. Okay, so this is happening now. The only difference with Iran and other countries is this. This is where the international component comes in. So this is, if I explain this to you, and we forget for a second that this is Iran and this is a country that has sanctions, you would say, okay, this is a normal situation or a situation that could happen in any countries and has happened in many countries. And so the internal system of that country is used, the political process in the country, if they have a parliament like we do, if we have, a executive branch that is separate from the parliament, if we have a judiciary branch which is separate, you get together, you try to figure it out. The difference in Iran is that any time we want to do something in Iran, the Americans, the Israelis are sitting, they're watching. They want to use that as an excuse to then cause the riots, to cause disruption.
Some might argue that today inside Iran, there's a quiet war. On one side, those who say surrender to the West and get rich. On the other, those who say resist and keep your soul, stand or perish. So will the future be shaped by principles, Dr. Torabi, or by
did anybody who surrendered to the West get
sold
rich?
as salvation? I mean, today the focal question is the Islamic Republic, for example, weak or waning or in a state of decline in Iran?
Yes. Did anybody who surrendered to the West got rich? Who got rich? Did Egypt get rich?
True.
Is Egypt a rich country? They surrendered. They did everything the Americans wanted. Is Jordan rich? Saudi Arabia is rich because it has oil, right? Even Turkey, who is relatively wealthier and is a large society with a diverse economy, anytime the Americans want, they can, fiddle with the exchange rate. Do you know that Turkey has a higher inflation than Iran? Did you know that? Turkey is in NATO. It has a higher inflation than Iran. So the idea that you would surrender to the West and become rich is false, is a lie. We are living in a world where after the 7th of October, this is the genius of Shahid Yahya Sinwar. He did something to completely expose the global Jewish supremacist attempt to reestablish a colonial world order. We had a colonial world order in the 19th and early 20th century. There was decolonization, which wasn't really decolonization in many countries. It was just them getting a flag and getting a passport and being legally independent, but economically being completely still dependent on the West and the colonial powers. And there was one place on earth where colonialism never ended, which is Palestine. Now, why is it that Imam Khomeini said, and others said, that Israel is a cancer? Because it is that same colonial cancer that did not get killed and is now attempting to reestablish a colonial order. Now, they are saying to people, be with us. Not to people, they're saying to the rulers. Those rulers who don't have a popular support. Be with us, you will do okay. And
one last question before I let you go. What remains after the storm? More strenuous sanctions, threats, slow suffocation? What happens to a society bled dry?
Well, I think there has to be in terms of Iran and in terms of what Iran is doing. It's clear. Iran, they tried to attack it, 12-day war, they lost. They tried this again. The people came out. Everybody showed that, the majority. The people are the people that went into the streets in Tehran proclaiming their disgust with the terrorists. Those people who burn people like Daesh, who chop off heads like Daesh, who burn the Quran, who burn the mosques, those are not the Iranian people. Those are criminals which are instrumentalized and weaponized by whoever gives them money.
Excellent.
You can go to any country, and Iran is a large country, it's 90 million people. You can go to any large country, you will find criminals that if you pay them, they will kill their own mother.
Sure.
So these are not the people, okay? It doesn't matter what Trump says, doesn't matter what, the slaves in Europe of Israel say, it doesn't matter what the satanic Israelis say. The people in Iran, is clear who the people are. To me, the interesting question is, what will the American people do? They voted for Trump so that he will be America first, but he's the slave of Israel.
Yes. Let's leave it there. Dr. Sam Torabi, Iranian international relations expert and director of the Risalat Strategic Studies Institute in Qom. Thank you so much for joining us at this pivotal moment. Such a pleasure to have you, Sam.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Always a pleasure. الأزمة في إيران ليست فقراً، إنها ثروة مجمدة. أمة غنية بشعبها وتنوعها وأدمغتها ومواردها الطبيعية النفيسة وحضارتها المتجذرة، لكنها مخنوقة. 120 مليار دولار من دمها الحي محبوس بأمر غربي. هذا ليس سوء إدارة، هذا حصار مالي واقتصادي لخنق الشعب وكسر الإرادة. الريال ينهار لا من فقر بل من شلل متعمد وأزمة مفروضة. الاحتياطات موجودة لكن لا يمكن لمسها. الاقتصاد ينتج لكنه لا يستطيع التنفس. المعركة الحقيقية ليست في أسواق طهران بل في قاعات المصارف العالمية، حيث يحتجز مال إيران رهينة والإيرانيون يدفعون الثمن. السؤال الجوهري: هل تستطيع إيران التحرر من أزمتها ومن تعريف أعدائها لها؟ هل تستطيع تجاوز مجرد رد الفعل والتغلب على هذه الدوامة المنهكة لتصوغ رؤية خاصة بها وبقوة؟ من كل الميادين، حياكم.